Well, it turns out there's a lot more about this guy that tried to take Trump out the second time that we didn't know. And today I did a lot of research and digging, and if you want to stick with me, I will go through that along with some other things. So if you could just follow me here on whatever you're watching. Dr. Jesse Roberts, this is Join or Die. I do news and stuff, whatever we talk about, news, politics, history, culture, what have you. I'm a historian, so historian and writer, and this is what I do. So thanks for watching my videos. Get into it here. So we have this character, Ryan Routh, however you want to say it. So lots of ways to look at this. So yesterday I did the typical thing that lots of other people were doing, saying, oh, this must just be because of the rhetoric, right? The way people are talking about Trump. And this is just pushing people to do something crazy. Well, I'm starting to look at it from a different perspective. A couple of reasons, a couple different ways to look at this. So this is a guy who clearly had been flagged by our government for being a dangerous figure, had a criminal record, but was somehow allowed to travel around and leave the country and do things that most people that have criminal records are not allowed to do. And he was also flagged several times by our government for being a dangerous figure. As recently as 2022. So you have that. And then, so you have, we know based off things coming out recently, there's a lot more to the first attempt that did not meet the eye. We know that Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri has been really going after trying to get trying to expose the truth behind that whole situation, and he's come out with a lot of stuff. Nobody's talking about it. The media doesn't want to talk about it. So big shock there. But so you have that angle. You have this is a guy who, the first time around when Trump was shot through the air, there was a lot there with things seem fairly intentional, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so you have that angle of it. Then at the other angle of it, you have this guy is obviously a major neoconservative, and that's a big reason why. So people said he's a Trump supporter. Well, yeah, he voted for Trump in 2016 and regretted it totally. And we know based off his feelings about the Ukraine war and toward Iran, things like that, going to Afghanistan to try to rally Afghani fighters to come fight in Ukraine. This is a guy who had major neocon leanings. So yesterday I said, oh man, this just has to be, the way they're talking about him, right? You can't talk about this guy being the greatest threat to democracy forever, and they're going to continue to push this narrative, and then somebody's not going to do something stupid. That is what I think happened the first time. I think a lot of it was, this is a young guy who has been obviously radicalized. He has Trump derangement syndrome. I think it's part of it. Listen, there's a lot more to that I think is going on here that we're not seeing. But you have that situation, and then this situation. This is a guy, okay, lots of crazy stuff. This guy's a crazy background. So he is originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. And back in 2002, he got pulled over for a routine traffic stop. And what happened was people in his town knew he was a bit of a kook. They said that the guy, he was known for, lighting off explosives, and he was known for bit of an eccentric and playing around with firearms and things like that. And since everybody knew who this guy was, they knew he didn't have a driver's license, so the police it was outside of his house. And they pulled him over thinking, okay, listen, we see him driving around. I know he's a sketchy character. I know he doesn't have a license, so they pulled him over. And the police officer walks up to the car. This is all, you can do your own research. It's all over the place now. with the police officer named. I gotta find it. I have the story here. Tracy Folk. This is in 2002. This was in. Trying to see the exact December 16th, 2002. So he's pulled over by the police during a traffic stop. She walks up to the car. He's got a bag in the middle, the center of his front seat there, or whatever he's driving. And as he goes to grab it, it's exposed to be a machine gun, is what they said. So he ends up, she pulls a gun on him. She's saying, listen, like, you put your hands up right now. And what does he do? He runs into his house/office, barricades himself inside for 3 hours. He's in a standoff with local authorities. So he's in a standoff. Eventually, the thing comes to a head. She calls in a special response team, and we don't know. There's no proof the guy served any jail time or anything like that. He got hit with a felony weapons charge, possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Okay. Now, mind you, when this happened, this is in December of 2002. So I would think that in that time, the post 9/11 era, where we have lots of government oversight growing, getting bigger, you have, with you're freaking caught possessing a weapon of mass destruction. Mind you, this is before we even invaded Iraq. Okay, so WMDs became a big deal around that time. You're telling me that the feds were not all over this dude for years? So he moves to Honolulu. There's all sorts of parts of the story, but let's fast forward to now. Well, fast forward to 2022. So when Putin invades Ukraine, this guy goes over to try to help recruit people to fight in the war in Ukraine. He's completely obsessed with the war. Ukraine has to win. They absolutely have to. He takes the typical neoconservative stance about it, which we've seen a lot of our establishment Republicans and Democrats take. So he ended up going over there, and he was trying to recruit people from places like Taiwan. I mean, he was traveling all over places. He went to Warsaw, so Poland. He went to Istanbul. He went to Ukraine. And then he was contacting people from Taiwan, from Syria, from Afghanistan. He was trying to recruit ex-Afghani soldiers to fight against Russia. And at this time, you're talking about a part of the world that every major intelligence agency, not just in the country, but in the Western world, is watching that part of the world. And they're seeing this guy who clearly has a criminal record. He's a notorious, he's somewhat notorious where he originally comes from. So, and then he had that incident with the gun and the WMD or whatever. I'm sure that there's lots of, this guy has a record. Okay. So he's traveling around to this part of the world. He's contacting people in places like Syria and Afghanistan. You don't think that they're not tracking that at all times? There's not some serious surveillance going on there. So the guy's been he's been flagged by our intelligence services multiple times, and including in 2019 he was flagged for possessing a firearm while a felon. And then in 2020, in June of 2022, a nurse named Chelsea Walsh returned from Ukraine, and when she came into the country, she reported Routh, however you say his name, to the Border Patrol, to the United States, whatever it's called, United States. I'm trying to say what the whole acronym is. USCIB or whatever. United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. I'm trying to make sure if that's the right one, but she reported him, U.S. CBP, United States Custom and Border Protection. Geez, I should know that. So she reports him on her way into the country, saying, listen, this dude's dangerous. He exhibits behaviors that make him seem like a bit of a psychopath. Okay, he exhibited things that were concerning. So, like sociopathic type of or antisocial behaviors. And when he came in to the country again, to Honolulu, he told, they interviewed him. The government interviewed him when he came in. He told them he worked for something called the International Volunteer Center, and which was suspect because that didn't start until like after he had returned already, like right around the time he returned. So he said that he was, somebody up in that, whatever that is, that organization. And they decided to really do nothing about this. I mean, there were lots of red flags here, okay? And you are telling me that somebody of this caliber is not being tracked, or at least they're not keeping tabs on him. He shows up where apparently Trump's playing golf. Nobody knows where Trump's going to be that day, and he like just waits it out there. This is another one of those stories that just makes no sense. Now this guy is completely off his rocker, clearly. So you have the angle of it where he's got a lot of connections to the federal government here, okay, in a way where he seems suspect, okay, at best. That it's suspect that there's not more interest in this person. And like, we don't. They probably just don't surveil people all the time, I'm sure they don't do that at all. So you have that aspect of it, and then on the other hand, you have his reasons for being over there. And he wrote a book about the war in Ukraine. And if you, from excerpts I had gathered and posts that I'd seen, like other people had, they had gone through social media and they'd screenshot things and things, read his book and took out snippets here and there. He was like ardently pro-Iran, obviously pro-Ukraine. He even was trying to push Iran to take Trump out, or, he in his book, he said that. And he hated Donald Trump after voting for him, blaming himself for Trump getting elected, partially. Not himself directly, but, he's like, I'm sorry that I was, I was part of the reason why, I'm part of the problem here because I voted for the guy. And so what you have here is a guy who hates Trump because of his anti-war stance and how he wants to end the war in Ukraine, which he's been vocal about, him and RFK Jr. So you have him motivated from that end. So there's a lot going on here. Okay? Which one is it? Is it... I have a cat, a kitten crying outside my door here. Is it he watched too much mainstream news and stuff, and that's what drove him to just go do what he did? He was the rhetoric triggered him. I doubt it. Was it that he was part of some bigger plan here, and there was some involvement from intelligence agencies? I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. I can't say that definitively. What I can say is, as a neocon, the neocons have completely abandoned the Republican Party, largely because of Donald Trump. I mean, that's the big reason why. They've actually become mainly Democrats now. And a big thing is Trump's movement is anti-war. The Republicans themselves are not anti-war, but the neocons know that the MAGA movement largely consists of conservatives, right? The conservatives have flipped to this MAGA movement. This MAGA movement is more anti-war. They're not so much worried about the traditional Republicans, not traditional, but the neocons of like the 90s and the 2000s, as they are about Trump's supporters. That's why Trump's dangerous to them, because Trump Trump represents a base of people that we want America first. They don't want America involved in foreign wars anymore. They don't want to keep giving our money to places like Ukraine, to Israel, things like that. To them, that's just dangerous. This guy certainly falls into that category. There's a lot going on here that's needs to be answered. With the last attempt, which it's hard to believe that we get to, we have to talk about 2 assassination attempts here. You have all kinds of new information coming out, including, so like I said, Josh Hawley has been going hard at this. I have talked about some of this on here. But here's another one from tonight that I just saw. What did I do with that here? Oh, look, never mind. Let me pull it up here for you in just a sec. I want to make sure I get it up before I page you in. Here we go. Actually, let me just take my my screen down here just a smidge. I'll make me nice and tiny for you. You probably won't even really be able to see that anyways, but okay, so I'll read it for you. This is a letter to the it's from Josh Hawley to the Honorable Ronald L. Rowe Jr., Acting Director of the U.S. Secret Service. Dear Acting Director Rowe, my office has received new whistleblower information regarding the most recent attempt on the life of former President Donald Trump, raising troubling questions about the Secret Service protocols that day. A whistleblower with direct knowledge of Secret Service protection at former President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida, an individual who has in fact protected President Trump at that very location, alleges there are known vulnerabilities. Okay, so this is about the most recent occurrence. There are known vulnerabilities in the fence line surrounding the course, places that offer a clear line of sight to the former president and others playing the course. As a result, the whistleblower alleges that it has been Secret Service protocol to post up agents at these vulnerable spots when Trump visits the course. That apparently did not happen on September 15th. Instead, the gunman was permitted to remain along or near the fence line for some 12 hours. It is further unclear from your recent press conference whether agents swept the perimeter of the golf course at any point or whether drones were used to surveil the fence line. The reality is that the would-be assassin should never have been able to linger around the course for that long undetected. Please answer immediately the following questions raised by these new whistleblower allegations. Did Secret Service personnel post up at known vulnerabilities in the perimeter fencing? Did Secret Service personnel sweep the perimeter prior to the former president's arrival on the site? Did Secret Service use K-9 units or unmanned aircraft systems, so drones, elements to monitor the perimeter of the golf course? How were they used? The counter-surveillance personnel were present at the golf course on September 15th, as you stated in our recent press conference. In what manner were they deployed? Why did they not detect the gunman sooner? What was the specific counter-surveillance mitigation plan for the known vulnerabilities outside the fence that day? Oh man. So, at what point are we going to, it's like you don't even want to talk about this stuff because it's just, automatically it's like, what, they're going to put you on a list or something. Well, let's just get right to the point. Is the Secret Service in on this, or are they just this inept of an organization? Neither one would shock me, but it's not neither of them. Okay? Either they're this inept or they're in on it. Those are your two choices. You have no other options here. That's the plain and simple of it. Nothing else. You can't say, oh, they're just doing their job. They're doing a good job, but they just keep screwing up like this. Really, they keep doing their job. Well, doing their job then is not good enough, which means therefore they are this inept. Or they just want something to happen, which means they're in on it. Those are your two choices. And you read stuff like this. Normally they post people up on this part of the perimeter fence, and this time they did not. Oops. We just happened to let a guy sit there all day, waiting. Oh my goodness. It's just, you read that type of thing, it's just so depressing. It's so depressing that we've come to this, but not surprising at all, because of two reasons. The deep state, first of all, hates Donald Trump with every inch of their being. They have been trying to get him out of the picture from day one. They have actively worked against him. They have tried to frame him for treason. They've tried to do all these things. That's Exhibit A. Okay. And then on the other hand, you have a complete fallout from so many recent happenings within our government to make our organizations more inept. Our military is a complete mess. I've posted videos already in the past talking about this. Major screw ups within our military, officers getting fired, aircraft being loaded up with pilots that are severely over the weight limit, crashing $400 million aircraft or $200 million aircraft, things like that. Like, you have that aspect of it. We have come to a point where no longer are we a meritocracy within our government. We don't hire the best people. We're trying to politicize this whole thing by hiring people that make it more politically sound. You're seeing a drop off in the quality of these organizations. You lost a lot of people during COVID. You lost a lot of quality people that didn't want to take the medical procedure. All kinds of things like that happen. And listen, we're at a point in our history now. The people that are running the show are no longer, that doesn't mean they're the ones qualified to do it. Doesn't matter how long they've been in office. Joe Biden has been in political office for 50 years. He was a vice president of the United States of America. He's arguably the worst president we've ever had in history. Now listen, I know his brain is gone, but regardless, okay, he's not, because he spent his whole life in politics, does not mean he's an expert on anything, does not mean that he's qualified to do the job. I think that's where we're at in our country when it comes to politics. I think that it's no longer the very best and the most impressive that are jumping into this. It's the mediocrities in our society that can't do anything else. They are a major part of this problem. And I think that, going forward, it's just going to continue to degrade in quality. We are dangerously close to a major military conflict at some point here, in some part of the world. We are sending sending American troops to Alaska, the Aleutian Islands, to deal with Russian threats. You are seeing Russian and Chinese planes flying closer to U.S. airspace. Russian and Chinese ships closer to where, our stuff is. So you have to wonder, how screwed are we if something goes down? Because if our military is anywhere as inept as our government organizations are, dude, we're beyond screwed. Beyond screwed. Okay, remember the Afghanistan withdrawal? Picture that and think of that in a much grander scale. Remember when they tried to build that humanitarian pier in Gaza and couldn't do it? Do you understand how crucial building piers is to military strategy, especially if you're going to invade, a coastline or land on a beachfront or something like that? You need to be able to set up supply lines. Building a pier should be like military engineering 101 if you're in the Marines or the Navy or something like that. And they can't do that. So it's like we're at a point now where our government organizations are both inept and they're also both completely partisan. They're on one side of the political aisle. There are plenty of people in those organizations who are not diehard leftists. I understand that. But I think a lot of the people in leadership are not even leftists. They are just uniparty establishment types that don't care about the average American person. They care about their government position. They care about, their peers, which are just other elitists who hate your guts. So you have to ask yourself, in this current scenario with what just happened here, what is going on? And why? Listen, Donald Trump, you are going after the wrong thing. Now, we understand that the media has treated you, it's been so unfair. I have news on that here too. The treatment has been extremely unfair. You have been unfairly targeted. They have lied about you. They have caused you they've compared you to a fascist an uncountable amount of times. But I don't think that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden should be your target here. You should be focused on what is happening here, who is in on this, who is coming after me, and why. I know you can't publicly talk about that, so maybe he's just putting on a front, trying to get elected, but I don't think that's going to get him elected. My views on this have changed so many times. At first, I thought Harris, there's no way she gets elected. She's awful. Then for a while, I thought, I don't know. It could happen. They could basically just astroturf her into the White House. Then, after a while, I thought, no, there's no way. She's so awful. There's no way that's going to happen. He's going to win in a landslide. But then lately, his messaging has sucked. He has not been good. He's not been, he's not been the Donald Trump that, people fell in love with back in 2016. He's not. He's boring, and he's kind of whiny, and he's kind of just carrying on with this narrative of I don't know. He seems more of like he's on board with what they're doing. And I get it. He almost, they almost took him out for it, right? So that's understandable to a degree. But, now I have a feeling like there's a good chance she wins. And the only way he's going to win is if he goes back to that rhetoric, that he goes back to his ways of 2016, which he's not going to do now. And it's like, if you want to win this thing, you're going to have to start going, what's going on here? What the hell is going on here? Why is the DOJ being weaponized against me? Why are people trying to kill me? And why is it when people are trying to take me out, it's the most, it's like the ultimate screw up that allows this thing to happen. You have to ask yourself that. We're at a point now where, we're neck and neck here. And whether you believe polls or not, I just have this feeling that people are already going to vote for, people already know who they're going to vote for. I don't know if there's that many undecided voters out there, but there's enough things going on all over the place. I think that the race is pretty close. And I think if he really wants to win, he's going to have to kind of go after, kind of question things that are happening. That's my take on that. But there's too much here. There's too many coincidences to just go, oh, they're just doing their job, but they're not getting enough, help, not getting enough money. No, they're either like really terrible at what they're doing, which they could very well be, or they're doing it on purpose. And that's my I've talked to people, I've had this discussion with lots of friends and families. Are they this inept, or are they doing this on purpose? And I get a mixed reaction every time. I'm of the opinion, as a good libertarian that I am, that government is terrible at everything that they do. They screw everything up. I would not trust them to do anything right. They never do. I can't think of anything good that they do. And I mean that sincerely. So I could see them being that inept. But also I know that it attracts corruptible people who are power hungry and evil, and if it draws that type of a crowd in, then you're going to deal with that angle too. It could be a little bit of both. So I want to show you something here. This is a clip. I'm going to put let me plug my headphones in. Bear with me one sec. My computer might ding here when I plug this in. I wish I was just more prepared. I'm sorry. Okay, let me do this. Bing. There we go. Okay, so I want to show you this clip. This is a Dan Bongino. Dan the Bongino. All right, let me get here. Let me go back to X. Do you call it X or Twitter? It's so hard to tell. X just doesn't sound natural when you say it. Like I'm so grateful for Elon Musk buying the platform. It's changed everything. It's probably changed the future, honestly, of free speech and things like that. But it's like, I'm sorry, it's really hard to get used to calling it X. Have you? I saw this thing on X earlier. I re-X'd it. Doesn't have the same ring, you know. Twitter was just such a nice thing. All right, so there's a clip here. What do we got going on here? Bookmarks. Okay. Here we go. So this is Bongino. It's 2.5 minutes long, or 2 minutes and 14 seconds long. What do you think? Give me your take on what Bongino has to say here.
Donald Trump's not going to make it to Inauguration Day with this current regime in charge of the Secret Service. Folks, they are absolutely incapable of securing this guy's life. Now, I want to make a distinction right now so you understand the difference between some of the entities. This is not a reflection on the entire Secret Service, and these are not virtue signaling talking points or facts. I worked with a number of really talented guys over there who were just amazing at their job, who these things were airtight, their security plans. Nothing ever happened there. I can't tell you how many people were intercepted before they ever got anywhere close to a site. Rock solid PI teams, counter surveillance teams that did their job. I worked with some great people in the Secret Service.
So in case you're not familiar, Bongino was a Secret Service agent during the Obama administration. So just giving you like a little bit of background. And if you watch his show, he's one of the biggest conservative podcasters out there, obviously. Big show on Rumble there. Okay, so let me continue. Let me just make sure I got me pulled up. I'm so paranoid I'm showing you this and I'm not even showing you this, right? So here we go.
So when I talk about the Secret Service failures, obviously, for the sake of simplicity and time, I'm saying the Secret Service, but I don't mean the entire enterprise. I want to break it down for you. I am referring specifically to the management, because the management are the ones, whether it's the director, deputy director, assistant director of protective operations, DAD of protective operations. These are the people in the management chain that are making decisions about, yes, protective operations. Clearly, their decisions are not working because Donald Trump's almost been killed now twice in 2 months. The current management of the Secret Service has altered U.S. history. There is no disputing that. I wish we didn't live in a world where everything was politicized. That's a stain on all of us, but it's true. The fact that Donald Trump has almost been killed twice has clearly altered the political trajectory of the United States. How must you feel being a Secret Service manager, knowing your poor decisions have likely contributed to an altered, like branching off in time into a different reality than would have been if you hadn't screwed up? I mean, when I got on, the line on the poster was in the Secret Service office was, you elect him, we protect him. They cannot seem to do this with Donald Trump, who was elected president in 2016, therefore has protection, is the most threatened man on earth, and they cannot seem to protect this guy. How much failure are you willing to accept from this entity?
All right, so first way that clip starts is he says, with this current regime in power, he's not going to make it to Inauguration Day. What do you think of that? I guess if he'd have to get elected first. And I fear if he does get elected, you can only imagine what the meltdown will be like. 2016 will look like, will look like small fish compared to whatever happens if he gets elected this time around. The melting down will be like a nuclear level of melting down. So you have that part of it. So I don't know what your take is on that. Just bit my tongue. So annoying. I get canker sores like if I like bite my cheek or tongue ever, and then like I end up biting them 100 freaking times. So if you notice sounds like I'm talking a little weird, it's because I have canker sores. It's great. I get them all the time. So you have him saying in this current regime, talking like Trump here, current regime, they're not going to he's going to it's iffy whether we'll even make it to Inauguration Day. So that's part of his take there. But he says that it's the failures of the higher ups in the Secret Service and its management, it's the DAD, whatever that, these things he rattled off. Is that the reality? Is it just bad management? Is it just idiots? Because he makes it sound like this is not on purpose. This is just these people are terrible. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think anymore. But all I know is the first attempt that happened, there were way too many coincidences for it to seem like it was all just a screw up. There's people out there talking about potentially being like one major bad egg in this. And, I don't know if that's the case. I'm sure lots more will come out. This guy, Ruth, is still, whether you'll ever be able to hear from him, who knows? The guy's clearly lost it, I think that'll be a big problem. It's like, oh, well, he's just lost his mind. You can't talk to this guy. I can't believe this happened again. It was kind of it's just mind blowing. It's like, we're living through this now. And his point where he says, like, you have forever changed the political trajectory of the United States of America. Thank you, Secret Service. Like, it's hard to argue that. It's hard to argue that point. Sure feels that way. I don't even know what to say. It's like, there's too many things here that seem coincidental. The guy, and then I saw that Ron DeSantis is going to open an investigation into what happened, which is great, good for him. But on the other hand, the guy who's investigating it, what's his name? I have it written down here in my notes. Let me see. Jeffrey Beltry. I think that's the guy. He hates Donald Trump. Talked about this last night. Let me make sure that's the right thing. Now, come on now. Let me just look this up. Bear with me. Oh, come on now. Here, let me pause this real quick so that way I don't sit here and make you wait forever. Okay, I got it. I found it. Sorry for making y'all, I guess you didn't have to wait too long because I paused it, but this is the wrong thing here. Let me... Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Here you go. So, vocally anti-Trump FBI agent leading probe of Florida assassination attempt, according to a whistleblower. The FBI's investigation lead probing the second assassination attempt on former President Trump's life. He is still the Trump. He's not the former Trump. He posted anti-Trump rhetoric, allegedly, on social media, according to a whistleblower's account to Congress last year. So the Bureau calls these claims demonstrably false. So there's a chance. Listen, like, it's so funny to me how it's just like, well, there's no way this is true from the Bureau. You know how many people in the Bureau probably hate Trump's guts? Doesn't this guy look like if they made a movie about him, Gary Busey would play him? Probably about the same type of person as Gary Busey too. Let's see. Who knows, man? I mean, it's. I'm going to see if I can find another article here. Anti-Trump. Anti. Good Lord. Excuse me. Can't type today. FBI agent Veltre. There's another one I saw yesterday from Breitbart. Here we go. This is the one. The FBI official who just spoke at the press conference regarding the latest Trump assassination attempt today is the head of the FBI Miami field office, Jeffrey Veltre. A whistleblower reportedly told Congress that he is anti-Trump, and he was ordered to scrub any anti-Trump rhetoric from his, or anti-Trump posts from social media before he could get promoted. Pretty crazy. Doesn't surprise me. And if it's true, I won't be surprised at all. How about you? I'm sure there's plenty of people that are in higher ups in our investigation or investigative agencies or intelligence agencies or surveillance agencies that hate Donald Trump. Especially people in charge, because they're a lot of the time just bureaucrats. And bureaucrats hate people like Trump because Trump was a threat to bureaucracy. Not democracy, bureaucracy. What do you think of that? Would that surprise you? What do you think? Anything? Do you think anything will come of an FBI investigation here? I don't. Nothing will come of it. Doesn't matter if Ron DeSantis is saying anything about it. There's a new sheriff in town, chief. That's what he said when he's running. There's a new sheriff in town. Well, I don't think that a whole lot of anything will come of this. And like the guy that tried to do this will probably be like unreachable. You know, he'll probably be in like supermax prison somewhere. You know, you can't even like, prison guards won't even be able to look at him or something. Sure seems like a thing they like to do, you know, with they'll tuck him away somehow. All right, so I guess going forward, how can we trust that we'll get anything of this? Just like the first time. What happened the first time was it was the greatest story in the country. The greatest meaning the biggest story, not greatest isn't like, oh, that was great. But the first time that he, you know, he got winged, he got eared. It was just everywhere, as it should have been, right? This is a major moment in history. And it was, oh man, we need to tone the rhetoric down. We need to come together. We need unity. Last night I read you a bunch of stuff too about how Trump's dismissive of unity and He's being a douche. But meanwhile, he's Hitler. So, after that, we had the unity thing. We had we're going to be nice. We're going to tone down the rhetoric. We're going to speak kindly. It's just politics. And that lasted about 15 seconds because Biden had to drop out and they needed to put a new candidate in. And the only way they were going to win was by doing what they do best. And that's just making Trump out to be the worst person alive. They had to do that to have a chance. So, you had that whole ordeal, and then quickly on the side note there, what happened to the stories where they went out the door? They disappeared. We don't talk about that anymore. The news doesn't talk about that anymore. Go to some mainstream, not even mainstream, some corporate media news site and try to look up information about the, the attempt. The first time. It's like, just nobody, they don't care. It should be the biggest news story still. Just like this one. But instead they use this as an opportunity to go after him and demonize the guy even further. It's insane. You all are journalists. You're not interested in figuring out what the hell is going on here? How did these intelligence agencies and these security agencies and like the Secret Service, who we pay for? We pay to protect the most powerful people in our country, the most important people in our country. We pay them to do that. How they keep screwing up. You're journalists and you're not interested in that. Instead, you're interested in, well, why isn't he just being nicer? Why is he blaming us? We're good. We're the good guys. We're on the good guy team. So grow up. That's what it is. We're the good guys and they're the bad guys. We're the good guys. It's they're like children. I'm on the good guy team. So, yeah, going forward, I don't know what to expect as far as, not saying like anything like expect what's going to happen to Trump. I'm talking about what's going to happen with this investigation. Is Secret Service going to have to like get it together? If that whistleblower letter goes anywhere and gets any traction, what are they going to say? Oh, we screwed up this time. So you're saying historically, which I'm sure Trump plays his golf course a lot, especially since he hasn't been president since 2021. You said that, from that time on, they would put extra security there. One would argue that after the first attempt, which you would put extra security there. You know what? If you knew there were vulnerabilities in the fence after that first attempt, why didn't you fix the vulnerabilities in the fence? I'm asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend. If you want to give me a serious answer, though, I would love to know. So please, right now, while you're right here in this moment, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I can't do this anymore. Imagine your life without this video in it. You would be lost. You wouldn't know anything about Ryan Ruth. You wouldn't know anything about what I'm saying. I'm just kidding. You don't have to like it. But, I mean, like, if I were you, I wouldn't like this video. I mean, like, I dare you. I dare you not to like it. It'll be bad luck. Actually, there's a cat here sleeping. Okay? Wit is sleeping here. And Wit needs his dad to be able to, afford to feed him. So the only way you can show your love for Wit, and he's adorable, is to, here, I'll show you a picture of him. Okay, ready? Because I don't want to wake him up because he's too cute, sleeping over in his little chair next to Dad. But I'll show you this thing, and if you want to show Wit some love, you have to like my video, so that way he can eat food and he can live his life. Here we go. Ready? His face is kind of cut off in this picture, but So this is Wit. Wit's the, here, let me show you. I'll click on it. He's such a cutie. Ready? Oh, that's Wit. Wit's the brown tabby. Otto's the orange one. I actually have a third cat now, Smaug, a little blue dragon. So he's a little blue Russian cat. Yep. So if you want to show them some love, you gotta like my video. Okay. I'm gonna leave that on the screen for a second so you can look at the eyes in the pain of them begging you, please like my dad's video and follow his channel. Please. So, a few other things I guess I wanted to kind of jump into. I guess I'll take them off now. You get the gist. Get the gist. All right. Sorry, buddies. I gotta take you down here for a sec. Okay, so we have that whole thing. There was another interesting, kind of completely off that topic clip I wanted to talk about briefly. So last night, Donald Trump went to Flint, Michigan. I am from Michigan. I live in Michigan, and I went to school in Flint, Michigan, actually, for high school. Flint, Michigan is a dilapidated dump now. It's very depressing what happened there. Go auto unions. So he went there, he talked to I think it was at Moms for Liberty. He talked to something last night. Where did that clip go? Okay, I got it here. I want to say, he talked to it was like Moms or Michigan Moms or Moms for Liberty or something. Let me look it up before I tell you things. Okay, so I don't know, man. Wherever he was at a thing last night. He was talking to it was like for moms or something in Flint, or a Michigan mom actually approached him and asked him a question. As a libertarian who likes economics, I think that Trump and Kamala Harris both suck at economics. I do. I think their policies are terrible. I think they are not. I think Trump's plans are no good. I think her plans are twice as destructive and awful. And she's a Democrat, which means spend. So I'm not saying she's preferable to him in any way. I think she's worse. But I wish we could get either a candidate that knows things about economics or economists to help them along. It's like, I'm a historian. Okay, so I'm a military, political, and economic historian. And like any other red-blooded American, I like to watch war movies, okay? Especially as a historian. I love me some war movies. And when I watch war movies from Hollywood, and I see guys biting grenade pins with their teeth, and, or getting shot by a bullet in the flamethrower, and their whole body blows up in flames, I go, why don't they hire historians to actually consult on their films? I'm sure a historian would gladly do it for a pretty good price. I'll do it. Pay me a couple $100 and I'll do it. Because you're wrong about everything, always. Trump, hire good economists. Hire Austrian economists, Chicago school economists. He has an economics degree, but his economic plans suck. I don't want tariffs. Listen, I don't like Alexander Hamilton a lot. And I noticed a lot of the stuff feels very like Alexander Hamilton to me. And as a way of helping me move past my dislike of Hamilton, we should just dismiss his policies. I don't want central banking. I don't want a big, powerful centralized government. I don't want tariffs. I don't want to fund the federal government. That's what I mean, right? So we should do that for my sake, but also you should hire good economists who can help you along. Now, on that note, let me show you this clip, because you're probably okay, I get it. Thank you. Shut up now. This is the clip. from President Trump's thing.
Thank you for taking our question.
Thank you.
My name is Barbara. I'm a mom of 3, a grandmother of 7, and 3 great-grands, a registered nurse, retired nurse. So I know the cost that goes into raising children and running a household.
Yeah.
People just can't survive now. How are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries?
Good. Very good. Thank you. So we have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it, but there's no bigger subject. It covers everything. If you make donuts, if you make cars, whatever you make, energy is a big deal, and we're going to get that. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, we've done a hell of a job. 5-0, not 15, 50. Interest rates are going to follow, and actually they're going to follow for another reason. The economy is now not good, and interest rates, you'll see they'll do the rate cut and all the political stuff tomorrow, I think. And, you know, will he do a half a point? Will he do a quarter of a point? But the reason is because the economy is not good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it. But we're going to get interest rates down, and we got to work with our farmers. Our farmers are being decimated right now. They're being absolutely decimated. And, you know, one of the reasons is we allow a lot of farm product into our country, and we're going to have to be a little bit like other countries. We're not going to allow so much come. We're going to let our farmers go to work. And I don't know if you remember, I love the farmers because, you know, I had many meetings as president. I have this gorgeous room with this beautiful table that seats about 35 people. And I was with the farmers. Usually everybody wants something. They all want subsidy. But I was with the farmers, and I think you might have been there, actually, Sarah. I said, look, fellas, we're going to get you such a beautiful subsidy, meaning I'm going to do things. And one of the people raises in, sir, honestly, we don't want a subsidy. This is the first time this ever happened to me. Everyone wants, they want money, they want to build windmills. We want money with these windmills. Anyway, but you know what? It was amazing. He said, almost tears in his eyes, they were getting decimated. We don't want a subsidy. We just want a fair, level playing field. And I said, nobody's ever said that. And I have many industries and many groups of people from different things. You know, they do all different things. It's probably the most dramatic I've ever seen. He didn't want anything. All he wanted was to be able to compete fairly. Interest rates, energy, and common sense.
All right. So,
a lot of it's common sense.
So there you go. The guy had tears in his eyes. He looked at me with tears in it. It's just funny. Trump, man, he's a character. So. Sure, Trump fan. I'm not dogging on him. I just think it's just funny how he. Oh man, did I not show that to you? Ruh-roh. Well, you heard the clip. Okay. I hope I showed that. Did I not show that? Ugh. Oh brother. Oh boy. I don't know. Whatever. So he was at that thing. Okay, so you see, she asks, "What are you gonna do?" So first off, we'll just scoot through some of it real quick. So first off, it starts off with, okay, so it's a woman asking, "What are you gonna do to bring down the cost of food and groceries?" And he said, "Okay, we're gonna start with energy."
We have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it, but there's no bigger subject. It covers everything. If you make donuts, if you make cars, whatever you make, energy is a big deal, and we're going to get that. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, we've done a hell of a job. 5-0, not 15, 50.
Okay, so you have that. So he says he's going to get energy rates down. Then he's going to get interest rates are going to follow. The economy is not good, so we can't lower interest rates now. He said they'll do the political thing and lower interest rates, do the rate cut, right? Which I think was like half a point or whatever. And then he starts talking about farmers. He's saying they're being decimated. And he said a big reason why they're being decimated is because they're allowing too much product. Here, I'll show you this is part of the clip here.
is we allow a lot of farm product into our country, and we're going to have to be a little bit like other countries. We're not going to allow so much come. We're going to let our farmers go to work. And I don't know if you remember.
Okay, so
I love the farmers because, you know,
this is the thing where they're crying and whatever. Okay, so he says, well, I met with the farmers and I offered them subsidies, and they said, no, we don't want a subsidy. We just want things to be fair. So, first off, if you want to make all of this fixable, you want to fix all of this, you want to make it reasonable. Okay, I know this is, you're going to go, oh, great, here's a libertarian guy talking. First of all, Federal Reserve can just go away, but that's not going to happen. But you need to get rid of the bureaucracy. That's the problem. It's not foreign food coming in. It's not, they need more money. It's they, and you're saying they want to be able to compete fairly. If you want them to be able to compete fairly, you have to ditch the bureaucracy. You have to come in and cut that crap down. It's so hard to do anything nowadays with how overregulated everything is. That is number one. If you are a small, let's say I wanted to start a small organic farm, and I wanted to, let's say I want to make organic dog food. Okay, I'm going to start an organic farm. I want therefore my meat has to be certified organic. Like it would be unaffordable, and it would also be it would not be profitable for me to do that. It wouldn't be worth it because there's no way I could compete. Okay, it's because of the regulations. It costs so much money, and then you got to have all this time and all this. These people have to come out and verify everything, and it's like it's just there's too much regulation. And him saying, "Well, we allow too much into our country," it's like, dude, that's not the problem. It could be part of it, but why are we not producing things in this country to the level where we can compete with people that are shipping things in? Now, listen, I'm sure his take on it is, what we'll do is we'll raise tariffs, and that will stop, people will no longer be enticed to import things. Like, he's all about the tariffs, which, tariffs are stupid. So, he's like a protectionist, so he's all about the tariffs. Like, that's going to solve your problem. That's not going to solve your problem. It's not what's going to happen in 4 years, Trump, when you're no longer in office? Because you can't run again. And let's say you pass the torch off to who? J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is not a small government, small government drain the swamp kind of guy. Okay? J.D. Vance is more of like, hey, we should take over the U.S. government with more right-wing ideas. We should get rid of leftist ideological capture in our institutions and make things more fair that way. Okay, they're not going to pass the torch off to a guy who's going to cut back, that's going to continue those type of things. Let's just say you need to this is your shot if you get elected, is to slash our administrative state, like the permanent Washington, the 3-letter agency stuff. Gut the law. We need to get rid of the laws. All this, there's too much. That's why small farmers can't compete. And once again, Thomas Jefferson. Okay, so Alexander Hamilton. It's funny. I'm just doing lots of research right now on this stuff. Thomas Jefferson was a Republican. He was all about republicanism, but he was also more about an agrarian United States of America. Where Hamilton was more about industry in the city. Well, Hamilton's ideas have won out largely. There's very little of what Jefferson had realized, which would have been awesome, but Jefferson's ideas didn't last because Hamilton's ideas were more appealing to people in power. But that's the problem, is we do not have the agrarian economy that we used to have. There are big parts of the country that are like that. Most of farming and things like that are owned it's an oligopoly. So big, like big food owns a lot of that type of stuff. Okay, like a lot of the food you buy from the store, it's like a handful of corporations own most of the farms and stuff, right? They lease tons of farmland. They got here in Michigan. If you're driving around, you're looking over like, wow, look at all that corn, look at all that soybean, look at whatever. A lot of that stuff is leased by these giant corporations. Free market, whatever, you do you. But I'm just saying, it's just, the whole thing is a mess. There's the money and interests so like the lobbyists and the bureaucrats and all that stuff. If you want to make it a fair shake for these guys, they have to go. And what really kind of concerning to me was how he started that story out. All right, well, I'm going to meet with the farmers, and what am I going to do? I know, I'll offer them a subsidy first. It's like, no. That's the whole thing about you to begin with. That was what was appealing about you to begin with, is you were like the anti-government guy. You were the guy that was talking about, we're up to our ears in debt. We spend money on stupid crap. Like, you offered them a subsidy to begin with, and this guy with tears in his eyes said, I don't want that. I want things to be fair. Well, things to be fair means I want to be able to do my damn job. I want to be able to do the thing that I want to do and I love to do. It's very difficult to do stuff like that in this country. If you can go through it and find the way, you can get government grants and stuff to buy farmland. But if you want to make a living doing that, it's a lot of hard work. Like, and a lot of hard work just by red tape and dealing with the bureaucrats and dealing with the government. And then if you make any money, the government has to freaking come take their cut. And if you screw up this or screw up that, they'll ruin your life. They'll take your farm. The IRS will come in and destroy you. The IRS loves to do that. In this country, you're punished for making money. It's quite tragic. And that's what I want. I want somebody who's going to come in here and say, listen, we pay way too much in taxes. We get nothing for it. Inflation is taxation, so you pay an assload of money in taxes. There's too much regulation. There's so much regulation, in fact, that you break laws every day you don't even know are a thing. There is a place for some regulation. Okay? There's a place for it. But it largely fails us all the time. You saw that not with like Big Pharma. Big Pharma, there are so many stupid rules in place. They can get away with dishing out drugs that are harming people. They don't have to tell, when they do their studies, they don't have to reveal the stuff they don't want to reveal. And then they're pretty much insulated from people going after them. And then when they finally do get sued, they'll get sued for what's considered chump change when you're dealing with how much money they made off the thing, the drug, whatever. Like, it's very hard to compete with people that have their grasp of the government. They have their lobbyists. They have people that they have so much money they can crush you as a small-time farmer. So that's his one thing. And then he offers a subsidy. Like, dude, that's not the answer. We need to stop subsidizing stuff. Subsidies is precisely what can de-incentivize you in the free market. Like, subsidies actually make crap product if you even get product out of it. Look at the CHIPS Act. We spent so much money on the CHIPS Act, and what ends up happening is there's so much red tape and so much just stupid government, political correct crap in there. You can't even utilize the funding. And what you're going to get then is you're going to get a bunch of people that are not qualified for the job, that you're going to get a subpar product. That happens all over all over the place in this country. It happens with the auto industry. You know, when the government just hands you money to make something, there's no incentive to do a good job at it. You're not competing on the free market. If you had, you know, a bunch of people that were making superconductors privately and they had to fund their own operation and there was a huge payoff if they did a good job, you would have people doing a good job. You'd have people getting, you know, it'd be worth the money. It'd be worth the investment, the time. It'd be worth putting in the time to do a good job because you're competing with other people making them. But when you're competing with companies that are just getting handouts, there's no incentive there. So it's like in the energy stuff. Yes, energy. There's so much. This is just the whole thing. This frustrates me. I'm sorry. The problem with energy is there's no real incentive to find an alternative. First of all, there's an awful lot of political capital in climate, right? The government gets first dibs basically on any new technology that they want. We don't really have innovation in that area anymore. We don't really have innovation at all. That's what America used to be about. So there's nobody really trying to innovate and find alternative fuels. Now I understand we have solar and wind and like, but don't you think by now we should have the technology to like make batteries that don't need to burn a freaking like whole factory's worth of coal to recharge? And then you can drive like 100 miles on it? No, we should have way better technology than that by now. This is old technology. Batteries and stuff, it's old school technology. But the energy industry is disgustingly overregulated. Like, that's your problem, man. I know you're going to like drill, baby, drill, and you'll let people, you'll reopen oil leases, and we'll get back to the energy. Like, I love it. I love it. Yes, do that. Let's do it, man. Let's make like business and innovation and cool technology. Let's make that our thing. But like, get rid of the people that don't do anything but come in and freaking like just boss you around and tell you what to do and try to ruin your life over stupid regulations. Just get rid of them. That's what you need to do. And then the interest rate thing. If we come in and we get interest rates down, so he's saying they're doing it politically. We need to have a good economy to lower interest rates. Part of the issue here is if you have a good economy and you artificially lower interest rates, you're going to get exactly what happened here again. Trump kept interest rates way too low artificially. Artificial interest rates you're playing with fire. Because interest rates is actually a measure of what people are willing to pay in an economy, right? It's a signal people should save, or people should spend. When you artificially lower interest rates, you're just going to incentivize a bunch of short-term spending. People are going to piss a bunch of money away. It's not going to get you anywhere, and you're going to be right back in the same boat later on when things crash again. No, things should just naturally work. We can't let it be, though. We can't let the economy happen unless the government's involved. And that's what's very disconcerting to me here is we don't have a political party who is pushing actual good economic policies. You have the Democrats who are all about spend, 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 spend. Money is the answer to everything. Keynesian economics, the more we spend, the better it is for the economy. We'll artificially stimulate the economy by pumping a bunch of useless money into it. That's not going to work. We're $30 trillion in debt. And then you have the other side that's like, well, we need to, incentivize manufacturing by we'll subsidize it and we'll open up more gas leases. And what we'll do is we'll force people in America to manufacture because they'll have to pay massive tariffs by importing stuff. And therefore people, it's like, but we still need to screw around with the Federal Reserve and interest rates. It's like, dude, we're just, nobody gets it. No, we need to stop spending money, and it's never going to happen. Doesn't matter if you have a Democrat or a Republican in office, and there's no real major third-party contender at this point. And whether you have Trump or Kamala Harris in office, you are going to see massive government spending, and you are going to see, screwing around with rates and the interest rates and the Federal Reserve. And it's like, I wish we could have a political candidate that knows a thing about economics, real economics, not the government version of Keynesian economics. Like, I can't take this anymore. Like, if you have kids, it's real hard to envision a future for them because we have a mess to deal with. I know so many people say, don't you dare talk about touching Social Security. Well, it eats up like the vast majority of our budget, and there's no real return on it, right? It's a liability. It's a liability, unfortunately. And there's no money there, and the people that are paying it are people that are working now. Like, I've paid into Social Security my whole life. I will never see a dime of that money. That needs to be dealt with. That needs to be solved. You need to incentivize people taking care of their elderly family members and their parents. You know, people need to be incentivized to have kids. And I'm not talking about a $6,000 child tax credit. I'm talking about an actual free market economy where people don't have to work themselves to death just to scrape by. And the answer is not just government handouts. Hey, more money for food stamps, more money for Medicare, more. No, the answer is give us a fair shot. I like what he's saying there. Listen, we all want an even level playing field. The problem is you're not even treating the symptoms, dude. You're not even you're looking at the symptoms, but you're not treating the actual disease. And the problem is it's going to get bigger and worse. Like, please listen to Vivek Ramaswamy. Please listen to that guy. He's about the only one that has his head square on his shoulders when it comes to this kind of stuff. Someone like Thomas Massey. There's not very many of these guys out there, but they are valuable resources and you should consult with them. But what do you think about this, what Trump's saying? Because I already know the direction that's going to go. Well, what we're going to do to make sure that our farmers produce here and we don't import food is that, we're going to put tariffs on it, and then it'll cost them too much. It's like, that's not the answer. We should have free trade abroad, but it should be free trade. It shouldn't be like under treaties. No, you should just be able to trade with other countries. And in a free market, if you want to buy stuff that's imported, that's up to you. But there should also be an even level playing field in the United States of America where you can actually produce crap and not have to deal with the FDA and the CDC and the whatever, you name it. So it's federal. So you got the FDA, you got the CDC. I'm talking about like all these big government agencies. But I can't think of any off the top of my head. The ATF, the DEA, all these things. It's just like there's so much regulation and it's so unnecessary, and it's killing innovation. It's killing success. It's killing prosperity. And that's your problem. All right, I went a little long tonight because I wanted to have this tangent about the economy. If you could, please like my video. Please subscribe. Please help me grow. Actually, I'm going to do something real quick. We're gonna help you get some likes. Come here. Okay, so here we go. This is Wit. And look how tired he is. If you love Wit, look at him. Oh, he's such a cute boy. If you love him, you should like my video and subscribe to my channel because he's a sweet boy. See, look at him. He just loves it. He does snuggling with Dad, don't you? See, he's such a. I had him since he was a peanut, and if you want him to be able to eat, we need to like and subscribe to my channel. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, follow me on X, join Or Die News, capital J, capital D capital N. The link is in the bio of my channel, so please do that. All right, well, say good night to Wit, and I will be back tomorrow night with another video. He's about to dip out here, so bye.